Hey there, Jesse Lewis here, and I want to talk to you about your corporate event planning timeline. Yep, it's time to talk about your timeline. It is probably the single most important part of your event is having a good timeline. So why a timeline matters? Well, it keeps your event organized. It really, every element runs on schedule if you have a proper timeline and you implement that timeline and actually follow through with it. It gives better pacing, smooth transitions between the different moments of your event, and the most important thing here is it gives better guest experience. Attendees, they'll feel welcomed, they'll feel engaged, and they are way more likely to actually enjoy your event. So why does it matter? Well, a well-planned timeline transforms your event from chaos into a polished and professional thing. So the simplest thing is before building your timeline, you define what your actual goal is. Is your goal to have a celebration? Is it a milestone achievement? Is it for a company win? Or is it a staff party? Appreciation event for your clients or your staff? Is it a conference dinner? Is it a client event, networking? What is the actual goal of your event? And that's going to help you define your timeline. And there's many, many different types of timelines. It's just that you need to look at what your timeline actually should be and how you adjust it. Now, build around the main moments. So every successful corporate event, every successful event includes these core components. So you need to plan your timeline around these key moments and to create an actual natural flow. The guests arrive, they have cocktails or they sit and they have drinks beforehand, usually. The food and drinks are served. Maybe there might be some speeches and recognition after that. And in most events that I work with, of course, that there is entertainment. And knowing how to plan that out is super, super critical. So let's talk about the arrival window. And the guests arrive at like 5:30 or so, right? And the doors open, you welcome guests in, you greet them, there's somebody sitting there to greet them, and they have an easy check-in process. Now, if you're working with a hotel, they might have a coat check-in. If you're in a small community hall, you might have do your own coat check, that type of thing. Then what happens 5:30 to about 6:15, 6:30, somewhere in there, you have cocktails and mingling where guests are talking to each other, they're having a good time. Many corporate events I see now are having things like a prize draw table where people will buy tickets and they'll be eligible to enter for prizes or a door prize, or some places even are doing fundraising at their corporate events to help raise funds for specific causes in communities, which is really, really cool. All this does is it creates a welcome atmosphere where people feel actually welcome at your event, and that's super important. If people are stiff, if people are rigid, if people aren't talking to each other, there's a high likelihood that your event isn't going to be that big of a success. But if they're warm, if they're comfortable, it really does create that atmosphere. A big key to the sample arrival window that I'm talking about here, where people are arriving, is to have great background music. And that can be as simple as finding a good playlist on an iPad. I know that may not be perfect for everybody. Or having an actual DJ DJing the cocktail hour and the supper. Works really good. Now, the next portion is the early event energy. So what this really does is set the tone. That arrival window, it sets the tone for the entire evening. If people are a little bit more loose, are ready to go and have fun, it can really set everything up. So you need to give the guests the time to arrive, settle in, and really begin connecting naturally. This works especially for client-facing meetings. You want your clients to be able to talk to each other. You want your guests to talk to each other if it's just your staff or the staff and spouses for like a holiday party or something. It gives them time to arrive, settle in, begin connecting naturally. And that's super important because, well, think about how uncomfortable you are sometimes at events. And I want to tell you a secret. A lot of people are very uncomfortable at events. A lot of people don't like being seen out in public. A lot of people are worried about how they dress or how they look or how they mingle. And this early energy for that arrival time sets the tone for people to get comfortable with everything. The second part is dinner or the main gathering. Now, dinner service will usually start about 6:15, go to about 7:30, somewhere in there. And there's usually opening remarks before dinner, before supper. And the thing is, you have to keep transitions clear and simple. So you go from the cocktail hour, you have somebody come up, the music stops playing, and your MC, which you should have, either you who is planning the event, or a hired MC or somebody from your company, should be emceeing the event. And they should be announcing dinner service is ready. That person's probably going to have to check with the caterer to make sure that everything is ready on time. Some events do run behind, and that's okay. So you announce the dinner service, and you have the opening remarks. You welcome the guests. If you are influenced by religion, you might have a prayer before, or I say grace before your meal. But not every company does that. You set the tone for the evening with all that stuff. Then you transition into the next portion. So really, dinner and the main gathering is pretty good, but then the next portion comes to speeches and recognition. Generally, I would recommend doing an award ceremony after you've eaten, and don't do it during dessert. Keep them separate. Entertainment while you're eating, in my opinion, I've been doing this for 20 years, is not a good option. I don't perform my show during dinner. It just does not happen. It has to be a separate marked space for the event. So between 7:15 and 7:40, speeches, awards, thank yous, announcements. Keep this segment focused and moving. Give those awards. Give those leadership remarks. Team recognition announcements. But also make sure that whoever you have speaking, give them some notes on how to do it properly, because nobody wants to sit for 45 minutes listening to your CEO. Sorry if you're a CEO. We live in a TikTok generation, so make sure that we move fast for this. They'll sit there politely, but nobody's going to like it. So make sure the speeches and recognition are great, and it'll work. The next part is the best time for entertainment. After dinner. If you have no speeches and awards, this can pop right in there. But schedule entertainment when guests are relaxed, when they are fed, they're full, they're ready to enjoy that shared experience, and make sure that everything else is complete, because there is nothing worse as an entertainer than as a stage entertainer who does a show on stage that has to have audience focus. There's nothing worse than doing entertainment where it's just atmosphere entertainment and people are just listening to music in the background, not participating. That doesn't create a really engaging event. You want to have people super engaged. So you want to have it when the focus and the attention and the energy is the strongest. So how you do it is 7:45 to 8:30. You have an ideal window for future entertainment when the guests arrive and the energy is at its peak. And this can float, of course, but you have a clear start time. You announce when the defined beginning of the entertainment is going to be, because you want your guests gathered. You want them in that audience. You want them focused on what's about to happen. You want a focused, shared experience, whether it's music, magic, ventriloquism. It doesn't matter. It could even be what I do, which is comedy hypnosis, and you want it to be a focused, shared experience. You want that audience involved and engaged. That's why sometimes bands don't go over that great, is because not everybody likes every type of music. Not everybody likes every type of magic. Not everybody likes hypnosis. But you want to make sure that it's good energy for the room. And if you do it right after dinner, it ensures those guests are relaxed and way more receptive to the actual entertainment. So another thing you should do is leave room for the room to actually breathe. A well-paced event is going to need little buffer times between each thing. For instance, between supper and speeches, there's got to be buffer time. Between speeches and entertainment, there's got to be buffer time. So built-in buffer time keeps everything running way more smoothly and stress-free. And it gives you time to set up things between the separate segments and to actually prepare for it. And the MC, whoever's emceeing your event, is going to be able to judge, or should be able to judge, how to create that buffer time and what's best for your group. Now, keep the pacing balanced. Avoid too much dead time. Limit the back-to-back speeches. You do not want somebody having a speech after speech after speech after speech. Have the MC step in, tell a joke, move to the next speaker. It really does cause attention fatigue. So you need to have that breakup, that little 2-minute boom, And don't rush ending. Allow time for a natural polish close to everything. Late event options. Well, there's networking time. That if you go after the entertainment, when the evening is winding down, have networking time so people can actually communicate with each other. A great use of this is to have music and photos. Have a DJ, have that iPad playing, have that background music, and photo ops. What I would suggest is actually getting a photo booth. Photo booths are relatively cheap to rent these days, and sometimes they're manned, sometimes they're unmanned, but they're a great way to get pictures of your event and say straight out, we will be using these in the company newsletters, and have that as a sign somewhere. Get photo opportunities with everybody, and then have a casual wrap up. You can even wrap up the event and say, we're going to be playing music, and this is your opportunity for the bar. Will be sitting there all night until about 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. when we wrap up the night, and you guys can have a good night. That's it from the company, but you guys are free to stick around and have a good time and chat. Simple as that. Give people the option. They don't have to, but they can. And you adjust for the event type. Maybe your event type isn't this type of an event, but every event does have its own rhythm. So as you're thinking about this, think about it for holiday parties, conferences, seminars, client appreciation events. This is the basic format for a fundraiser in local fundraisers. It's been pretty set in stone for a long time how this works. Now, the start times may be adjusted. Maybe it doesn't open at 5:30. Maybe it opens at 4:30 because it's winter time and there's not so much light. And then entertainment actually starts at 6:30. And supper's already done by 6:30. Maybe it's a later in the summertime one, and the event actually doesn't start till after supper normally. Wouldn't you do Appies instead? Doors open at 7:30, Appies at 8, and then entertainment at 9. When it's summertime and it's light out and people are out all night. It's a great way to just adjust and go with the flow, and know that the timeline is adjustable. It doesn't have to be set in stone, of course. Now, there's a simple sample timeline. It's really simple. 5:30 arrival, 7:15 speeches, 8:30 networking. Really simple. You don't have to have anything other than that, and you just go. So thank you for watching. My name is Jesse Lewis, and I will see you next time. If you need anything at all, feel free to reach out. My website's down below in the description. See you next time.